From what I understand, I talked to a friend of mine who's very knowledgeable in this, and he said that one of the real problems was the lack of aspiration, that they didn't aspirate when they injected people. Even when they did Biden on television, they just jammed that thing into his arm and shot it in there.
So is it supposed to stay like local or something? And
it's supposed, the idea about it was it's supposed to stay local, right? It's supposed to stay local. But apparently there's been, if you talk to Brett Weinstein, a bunch of other people, there's a lot of debate as to whether or not it is ever local. That they've been able to find the evidence of the spike protein all throughout the body. And the issue, though, was if you didn't aspirate and you went right into a blood vessel.
Ooh.
So that could be the cause of myocarditis, all these different neurological conditions, all these different things. So the lipid nanoparticles and this vaccine gets in your system, your body reacts to it like it's being attacked, right? Well, if it gets to the heart, your heart doesn't heal. Right? Which is why your heart doesn't get cancer. Your heart scars. Yeah. Like your liver heals. Your liver regenerates. You could lose half your liver. You know, you can donate half your liver to someone and it'll grow back in weeks.
Yeah. Liver's resilient.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
But your heart's not like that. So the heart scars over and it leads to, enlargement of the heart, myocarditis, pericarditis. So this is the thought. This is what my friend told me, who's a very intelligent person. I don't want to name him. But he said that the real issue is that they didn't aspirate, and a significant number of people that are experiencing these long-term issues from the vaccine, it's because it went right into their bloodstream when it was supposed to be intramuscular.
Yeah, there is several times now, because especially if you're on TRT, you're probably more understanding of how to inject yourself almost than somebody who's like a random pharmacist that just jamming people as fast as they want every single day just as part of their gig. And you're kind of risking it if you just let somebody else pin you. Like sometimes you feel like being like, hey, can I do this?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But even then, like if you jam it into your arm, it's possible that you could hit a blood vessel.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Tren cough?
I have. What is that?
Yeah. So it's thought to be that if you get into, like you nick a vein or something, or you like hit a blood vessel, for example, and you get some of it bleeding immediately into systemic circulation, rather than being intramuscular entirely, it goes very quickly up to your lungs, and you basically have a coughing fit get induced by your body trying to like expel whatever is there.
Whoa.
And so like I could absolutely see something that wasn't meant to go immediately into systemic circulation being more problematic. Like with Tren cough, I've experienced it personally back in the day. This is like one of the most sobering things about bodybuilding is if you get Tren cough, it's like the most pathetic scenario you'll ever find yourself in, because you're just this muscle-bound dude who just injected yourself with like cattle steroids, and you're just looking at yourself in the mirror, hacking up a lung, sweating your fucking face off, and like, what am I doing with my life? And you can't get around it other than just like cough a lung for 3 minutes.
It takes 3 minutes for it to go away?
It depends, but like how much you have and all this, a bunch of stuff. But yeah, it's like basically if it happens, you can feel it coming on. You just like fucking brace yourself on the sink and you can get ready to hack up a lung for a few minutes.
Jesus. And is it a consistent thing or is it a one-time thing, like right after injection, or is it something that
recurs? It's after injection, but it's like, who knows what that does once you get like solvents and fucking, like whatever else is in your compound, in your solution into systemic circulation immediately. Like, I don't know.
Tren is something that the craziest of people that I know have taken, including like jiu-jitsu guys that really want to get super jacked. They take Tren.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is it about the Tren? And they apparently get like ultra violent when they're on Tren.
Yeah. So it's a unique compound that was...
Is it called Trenbolone? Is that what it's...
Yeah. And it used to be used for like, I forget what the clinical application was, but it was a pharmaceutical approved steroid back in the 80s, and then was, basically taken off the market similar to around the same time that, interestingly enough, Biden was the one who spearheaded getting like steroids scheduled essentially.
Biden did?
Yeah. He was like at the forefront of pushing for the banning of them or scheduling.
If I don't have muscles, nobody has muscles.
Yeah, and that's like he's blamed often by the bodybuilding community for the lack of refinement in anabolic steroids, because now we're stuck with the same drugs we've been using since like the 80s.
Wow.
So like every drug category has had significant refinements over the years to make them more effective, less side effect ridden, etc. Like GLP-1 medications, for example, highly effective and constantly being like lightning through pipelines to create
Right.
really, really refined ones that are less problematic. And with steroids, that was being done in the 80s. And then once there was, the Ben Johnson debacle, I believe it was,
Yeah.
that brought all this, public outcry.
Another
as
proud
to-
Canadian.
Yeah, and getting positive for Winstrol, I think. And people were like, is this just going to become like a fucking like chemical warfare essentially in the Olympics, and whoever's doped the most is going to win? And people are freaking out, and the response was Biden getting it, including testosterone, scheduled.
Wow.
Yeah, and then there was this huge stigma developed around them, and the taboo of being on steroids was developed, and that's kind of what led to this probably slowing down progress decades and likely preventing people from getting steroids developed that were far less likely to kill them. Yeah, so we could have like really refined, highly effective compounds by now that don't make your heart explode if they just continued, probably.